Hi everybody, we're going to keep with Chapter 8. Now we're going to talk about factoring a trinomial. And this is a basic trinomial, so I'll teach you a shortcut and it'll be really easy. You'll be able to factor quadratic trinomials in the form x squared plus bx plus c. Okay, we're going to learn how to factor this trinomial and take this addition problem and make it a multiplication problem. So what we're going to do is we have to put something here and something here that when you multiply it together you'll get a squared. So what that'll be is it's going to be a multiplied to a. Let's check that. A multiplied to a is a squared. Here's the tricky part. The tricky part is we have to figure out what do we put here so that when we multiply it, it will be 45. Because whatever we put here when we multiply it to be 45, it has to add to be 14. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, here's what I mean. We have to find two numbers that multiply to make 45, but when you add them, you'll get 14. What I did here, I came up with some factors that multiply to make 45. So 1 multiplied to 45 is 45, but that will not add to 14. 3 times 15 is 45. That will not add to 14. But 9 times 5 is 45, but it will add to 14. So now what we do is we check it. 9 times 5 is 45. But 9 plus 5 is 14. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write it right here. I'm going to say plus 5, and then I'm going to say plus 9. It does not matter which one I write first. But now I'm going to show you how if I multiply this out, I will get this trinomial. First, if I do a multiplied to a, I get a squared. Next, if I do a multiplied to 9, I get 9a. Now, if I do 5 multiplied to a, I get 5a. And 5 multiplied to 9 is 45. If I add my two middles, watch, 9a plus 5a is 45a. So this right here will add and make this. So it works. Let's try this one. So I have x squared minus 5x plus 6. So what do I need here and here to make x squared? I need an x here and I need an x here. Now I need to figure out what times what is 6 but adds to negative 5. Well, I know that 2 times 3 is 6. So I could do that. I could say 2 multiplied to 3, that equals 6. But I have to add to make it negative 5. So what I'm going to do is put a negative here and a negative here. Let's check that. Negative 2 plus negative 3 is negative 5. Negative 2 multiplied to negative 3 is positive 6. It works. So here are my two parentheses that will multiply to make this addition problem. X times x is x squared. Negative 2 times negative 3 is 6. And if I add these together, negative 2 plus negative 3, I will get this. I'm not going to, on each one, I'm not going to write it out like this just for time reasons, but it will work. Let's do one more. What do I need in each spot to make x squared? I'll need an x here and an x here. Next, I say what multiplied to what is negative 8 but adds to negative 2. Well, I came up with negative 4 multiplied to 2 is negative 8, but negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2. Those are my two numbers, so I can do x minus 4 and x plus 2. These two multiplied together will give me this. Alright, this slide is to teach you about some rules that might help you coming up with what goes in these parentheses. So we've already discovered that if we have x squared here, then we need an x here and an x here. So that's going to be all in common. But what I want you to realize is if there's a plus sign here and a plus sign here, these both have to be plus signs. So what times what is 10 but adds to 7? And that's going to be 2 and 5. So let's check. 2 multiplied to 5 is 10, but 2 plus 5 is 7. So that works. Notice if these are two pluses, these are two pluses. Alright, now we have x squared minus bx plus c. So our product is a plus, but our sum is a negative. So we need to say what multiplied to what is 10 but adds to a negative 7. And what that is going to be is a negative 2 and a negative 5. Notice the negative right here. So if we have a negative multiplied to a negative, that gives us a positive. But when you add the two negatives, it'll be negative here. So that's another thing to look at. Make sure that you check multiplying and adding. Negative 5 plus negative 2 is negative 7. Okay, here we have a plus bx but a minus c. What that means is that a positive is multiplying a negative. So what times what is negative 10? Well, I know that 5 multiplied to negative 2 will give me negative 10. Let's check that. 5 multiplied to negative 2 gives me negative 10. But what if I add 5? What if I add 5 plus negative 2? Then I get positive 3, and that's what I have right here. Our last one, x squared, now it's a minus bx minus c. So here the bigger number was positive, so the answer in the middle was positive. This time the bigger number has to be negative, and it's going to look like this. So I end up with x squared minus 3x minus 10, and 2 multiplied to negative 5 is negative 10. But if I add the bigger number, the bigger negative number to this, negative 5 plus 2, I end up with 3 negatives left over. We have 5 problems to get us used to how to do this. So here we have g squared plus 7g plus 10. Remember what we're doing. What multiplied to what is 10 but adds to 7? I'm going to place a g here and a g here. G times g is g squared. Now I'm going to think to myself, well, we already did this one, but 2 times 5 is 7. 2 times 5 is 7. And they're both positive because a positive times a positive is positive 10. And if I add positive 5 to positive 2, I get positive 7. This works. Let's try this one. Okay, remembering our last page, we know that we need a D here and a D here. So let's do that. D here, D here. But remember from that other page, we have a positive here, but a negative here. So that means we need a negative times a negative will give us a positive. And if we add the negatives, we get a negative. So what times what is negative 42 but adds to negative, I said that wrong. What times what is positive 42 but adds to negative 17? Well, negative 3 multiplied to negative 14 is positive 42. But negative 3 plus negative 14 is negative 17. This works. So I'm going to put a minus 3 there and a minus 14 right here. And this will work. If I multiply it, it will give me this trinomial. Okay, well I know that I need an m times an m to give me m squared. Now, what multiplied to what will be negative 27 but adds a positive 6. So this is going to be one of those ones where I need to know what are the factors of 27 that are 6 apart. And if I think about that, I know that 9 times 3, let's check that. 9 times 3 is 27, but 9 minus 3 is 6. This is where I have to look at my sign. The bigger number is, or this is positive, so that means my bigger number has to be positive, and my smaller number has to be negative. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the negative 3 and put it here, and I'm going to take the positive 9 and put it here. Let's check. Negative 3 times 9 is negative 27, but if you say 9 plus negative 3, you get positive 6. Okay, I set this one up. So I have p multiplied to p gives me that p squared. Now I have to say to myself, what multiplied to what will give me negative 18, but will add to negative 3. So that means they're 3 apart. Well, I know that 6 multiplied to 3 is 18. But one of these has to be negative, and if I add them, I'll have a negative left over. So I need to make sure that the bigger number is negative. Let's check. Negative 6 multiplied to 3 is negative 18. But if I add these, I get negative 6 plus 3 is negative 3. So I'm going to make sure I do a minus 6 and a plus 3. It does not matter which one goes in which parentheses. That does not matter. But it does matter that the 6 is negative because the bigger number, if the bigger number is negative, you have extra negatives left over. One last one. I know that I need a v multiplied to a v to get v squared. I see 2 plus signs. So that's going to tell me that these will both be plus signs. A positive multiplied to a positive. So what multiplied to what is 20 but adds to 21. So if I think about this for a little bit, I'm going to figure out that 20 multiplied to 1 is 20. 20 times 1 is 20. But 20 plus 1 is 21. So I already solved it. I know that a 20 goes in one parentheses and a 1 goes in the other. Okay, so here are your practice problems. I made the little, I don't know what we call this little helper here for each problem. So you're going to ask yourself, what multiplied to what is 25, but adds to negative 10, and try and fill in your parentheses. You know, if you struggle on these practice problems, at least fill in the parts you know. And hopefully you know that a k would go here and a k would go here, and an a would go here and an a would go here. At least fill that in, and then see if you can figure out this puzzle. What times what is 25 but adds to negative 10? Bring any questions you have to class next time we meet, and take care.